Hello, I'm here with a new video. Keep analyzing the Space Marine Codex and the different units from the statistical point of view and probability to see what are the best options on how to use best these units. And this time I will compare Assault Marines, the bikes, and the Scout bikes. So first, I will compare on points, and I will compare units that have equivalent are very similar in points. So in Assault Marines, I will put as example 5 Assault Marines with 2 plasma pistols and Sergeant with plasma pistol. Then I will, from bikes, I will take 4 bikes with 2 plasma guns and Sergeant with plasma pistol. And finally, we will have 6 Scout bikes with 2 Astartes grenade launchers and Sergeant with plasma pistol. You see all the units are 130, 129, 133, so the points are pretty similar. And what I will do is I will compare the different units between them, who is best in each phase. So if we start looking at deployment and movement, I will think Scouts are the ones that have best options. They have infiltrate, they have Scouts special rule, and they are on bikes. So on deployment, you have a lot of freedom. You can keep them as infiltrate and deploy them at the end, or you can use them to outflank. So this is giving a lot of options. Plus, with all the movements that the bikes have, is giving quite different options in order to have them in the right position. And then we have Assault Marines and bikes, and they have pretty similar options. So bikes are much faster at flat terrain, but on the other side, we have Assault Marines that have very good options in movement because they can move easily vertical. So they can move to other levels in the battlefield, and they can also deep strike in cases needed. So in terms of movement, I will say Scout bikes are the best, and Assault Marines and bikes have are similar and will depend a lot how the terrain is looking like and what type of battle we are going to fight. If we look at the shooting capacity against infantry, we see that the bikes in average are the best against infantry, but the Scout bikes are very good against light infantry, toughness 3 with very poor armor. On the other side, we see that Assault Marines are not the best options and they have very short range. Here in that table I'm comparing the range from 0 to 12 inches, where the Assault Marines have the pistols in range, but in all the other cases, in the Scout and in the case of the bikes, the weapons are at short range, so they shoot double than the Assault Marines. This is the reason why Scouts are very good against light infantry, because the numbers are higher, although the weapons are not that strong because they cannot have the same number of plasma. They are very good against light infantry with the bolters and the grenade launchers. Also have to say here that I'm comparing the grenade launchers in crack versus plasma. I'm not using the grenade launchers in frag. So I will say that against shooting, bikes in average are the best. They can shoot very well against heavy infantry and have very good options against light infantry. And against light infantry, the best are the Scouts bikes, while the Assault Marines are better than the Scouts when shooting to heavy infantry like Terminators, Obliterators, or Space Marines, because they have more plasma weapons. Now, if we look the shooting against vehicles, we'll see that again bikes are the best, and it's because they have at a short range they have 5 shots of plasma, and these have quite high choices to reduce the hull points on the opponent vehicle. If you look in the table, for example, if we are shooting to a vehicle with armor 11, as average, the bikes will reduce 1.7 hull points, while the Scouts will reduce 1, and the Submarines will reduce also 1. If we look the probability of killing the vehicle, and means that I have a destroy on the table. Scouts have very little chances to destroy a vehicle because only the plasma pistol can destroy a vehicle with one shot. On the other side, we have the bikes that with 5 shots of plasma, especially if the vehicle is a light vehicle with armor 10 or 11, they have quite important probability of destroying the vehicle, between 20% to 17%. Against light vehicles, scout bikes are better than assault marines, but assault marines are better against heavier vehicles with armor 12 or 13. So here the bikes are the best, and then we have scouts and assault marines on the same position, and will depend also on what is the opponent we have in front. So if we compare how they resist the opponent shooting, we see that the best again are the bikes. They resist much better than the assault marines and than the scout bikes. Scout bikes are slightly better when they receive shooting from weapons of strength 3, but once we go to strength 4, 5 or 6, assault marines are the same or better than them. So the extra point they have on toughness are not making the difference, and it's better to have better armor. So this, we will say that bikes are the most resistant ones, and then we have scout and assault marines depending on the weapon they are from that is shooting to them. But we don't have to forget that in the case of the bikes, the numbers are lower than in the case of the assault marines. So we have 5 assault marines and we have 4 bikes for the points of 130. If we see, the ratio is 1.25. So if we compare then against the shooting, we see that against shooting of a strength 3, the ratio is 2. So this means that for you lose 2 assault marines for each bike you lose. And only when we go to strong weapons over 6, the ratio is the same, and then on weapons of strength 7, this difference in toughness is not making difference in terms of resisting the shooting. What that means, that the bikes are more resistant or have better resistance against light weapons, but when we go to heavy weapons like glass cannons, plasma guns, plasma cannons, or anything that have strength 7, does not make difference that you are a bike or a jam or assault marine. You have the same chances to resist. So the numbers are not making the difference when you go to high points. And finally, we have to look at the assault. And at the assault, I will say that the best unit is the assault marines. They have 10 attacks at initiative 4. Then I will put the bikes as the second unit and scout bikes as the last one, because although they have more attacks, they only have weapon skill 3, and most of the cases they will have less or worse or the same ability than the opponents. So based on that, I will say that the only point that assault marines are better than the bikes is in assault, where the numbers and the number of attacks is making the difference between them. I understand that the bikes can resist better the attack back or the attacks from the opponent, but they have more than double of the attacks. On top of that, here I didn't consider sergeants, so you can make the unique attack better if you add a power weapon or you add a veteran sergeant with additional attacks. So if you are looking for a unit to shoot and just go for objective, keep in movement and don't engage in assault, use the bikes. And if you are fighting an army that have light armor like orcs or Imperial Guard, sometimes it's better to use scout bikes. These two are the best in terms of if you want a unit that is just movement, shoot and move back and just keep position and try to score targets. If you are using assault marines, I think the best option is, instead of using plasma pistols, is to use flamers, and then use the assault marines to go very close to the enemy flame the enemy, and then assault the remaining survivals. Of course, if you use these tactics, it's better that you use assault marines against opponents that have light armor, because if you go to opponents that have heavy armor like other 10 tactical marines, you are not have more chances to win than the 10 tactical marines. They can get engaged, and they can be blocking close combat for long. So I think the best of these 3 units for me, and the most balanced one, are the bikes, the 4 bikes with the 3 plasmas. So the 2 plasma guns and the plasma pistol. You can change these plasmas by melta guns if you want to use them to engage vehicles, or you can use flammers, but I don't think if you go for flamers and then you want to assault, then the best option will be the assault marines, because if you use flamers you will be very close to your enemy, and then the enemy will assault you, and then the bikes are not very good in the assault because they only have 4 attacks, 5 if you have a veteran marine there. In that case, it's better to use assault marines, use the flammers, and then assaulting. Scouts for me are very good to use shooting and to reduce the numbers and of the opponent. I will not use them to engage in close combat. I will use them as a tactical unit that is movement, that is attacking the flanks of the enemy and is trying to score points by taking objectives. And that's all what I want to analyze in that video. I think I hope you like it and you have find something useful from here. For me, what's very important is that to see that if you assault marines, the best option is to use them with flamers and to assault, and then if you want a shooting fast unit, it's better to use bikes. So thanks a lot for watching this video. Comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed, please like if you like it, and see you again later. Bye.